What would you do if one act of kindness made the most dangerous man in New Orleans learn your name? Last night, Harper Quinn was just a tired diner waitress with rain in her shoes, coffee on her apron, and overdue bills waiting beside her mother's medicine. She saw an elegant widow standing alone in the storm groceries, split open oranges rolling into the gutter while strangers walked past. Harper stopped. By sunrise, 5 black SUVs surrounded her diner, and every whisper in the room turned into fear. This story is not just about danger, love, or the Mafia. It is about the price of being kind in a world that punishes softness. Stay until the end, because one poor girl's mercy will make a powerful man question everything he thought he owned. Like this video and comment where you're watching from. Before Harper Quinn ever stepped into that black SUV, before every tired face inside Magnolia Diner turned toward her like she had become a ghost, she had been exactly what the city expected her to be. Invisible. The night before New Orleans was drowning slowly. Rain poured from the black sky in silver ropes beating against awnings sliding down old brick walls, turning the sidewalks into mirrors. The French Quarter glowed somewhere far away with music and laughter. But on this side of town near the river and the warehouses, the night felt heavier. Streetlights buzzed. Tires whispered through puddles. The air smelled like coffee grounds, wet pavement, fryer oil, and the kind of exhaustion nobody could wash off. Inside Magnolia Diner, Harper moved like a girl held together by habit. Coffee in the left hand, check in the right. Smile when spoken to. Apologize even when it was not her fault. Wipe the counter. Refill table 6. Pick up the plates before Ray saw them sitting too long. Keep moving because stillness gave pain a place to settle. Her uniform had once been pale blue, but too many shifts had faded it into something between gray and memory. Her apron carried a syrup stain shaped like Louisiana and a burn mark near the pocket from a coffee pot that spat at her 2 weeks earlier. Her dark blonde hair was pinned at the back of her head, but curls had escaped around her face damp from steam and sweat. She was 24, though under the diner lights, she sometimes looked younger and other times older than anyone her age had a right to look. The bell above the door rang again. 2 construction workers came in shaking rain from their jackets. Harper reached for menus before they even sat down. Evening, she said, soft but bright enough. Coffee. One of them grunted, yes. The other asked for eggs, though the kitchen had closed breakfast hours ago. Harper glanced toward the pass window. I can ask. Ray Caldwell's voice cut across the counter before she moved. No breakfast after 10. Menu says it plain. The man gave Harper an irritated look as if she had written the rule herself. She kept her smile steady. We still have meatloaf, chicken, gumbo, burgers, pie, and coffee strong enough to make you forgive the eggs. The second man laughed through his nose. Fine. Gumbo. Harper wrote it down. Ray watched from near the register, arms crossed over his white shirt. He was a thin man with a sharp mouth and eyes that always seemed to be counting money somebody else had earned. His hair was slicked back, his shoes were polished, and his smile came out only for customers who looked wealthy enough to matter. For Harper, he saved his smaller cruelties. Table 4 has been waiting on pie, he snapped as she passed. They ordered it 30 seconds ago, and yet it is still not there. Harper bit the inside of her cheek. Yes, Ray. That was the first rule of keeping a job you could not afford to lose. Never give the man who held the schedule a reason to shorten your hours. She slid 2 slices of pecan pie onto plates, added whipped cream to one, skipped it on the other, because Mrs. Alvarez at table 4 always said sugar was already a sin without decoration and carried them over. Mrs. Alvarez looked up from her crossword. You look tired, baby. Harper smiled for real this time, just a little. I'm practicing for old age. You are too young to be tired like that. I keep telling my bills, but they don't listen. Mrs. Alvarez pushed a folded 5 beneath her water glass. For your mama." Harper's throat tightened. "You don't have to do that." "I know." There was nothing Harper could say to that without crying, so she touched the edge of the table and moved on. The truth sat in her chest like a stone. Her mother's inhalers were almost gone. The pharmacy had called twice. The landlord had taped a final notice to their apartment door in red paper that morning. Harper had peeled it off before June could see it, then folded it into her purse like hiding a thing could make it less real. At the counter, Mia Torres leaned close while pretending to stack clean mugs. "You eat today?" Harper poured coffee into a chipped cup. "I tasted a fry. That is not eating. It was a committed fry." Mia gave her a look. Mia was 31, sharp-eyed, quick-handed, and loyal in a way that made the diner feel slightly less lonely. She had black hair always tied in a braid and a habit of cursing in Spanish under her breath whenever Ray walked by. "I saved you 2 biscuits, Mia whispered. Back shelf, wrapped in foil. Harper blinked. "Mia, don't start. They were going to trash." "Thank you." "Thank me by not passing out before midnight." Ray's voice came again. "Harper window." She turned. 2 burgers waited beneath the heat lamp. She grabbed the plates and moved. Outside, the rain grew harder. It turned the glass front of the diner into a trembling screen. Reflections of neon letters broke and reformed in the puddles. Magnolia Diner hummed behind Harper coffee spoons against mugs. Low voices, kitchen vents, the old refrigerator rattling in the back. The whole place felt tired but familiar. Its cracked red booths and sticky menus had held years of people who could not afford better comfort. Harper knew all of it. She knew which booth dipped on the left side. She knew the back door stuck when the weather turned wet. She knew the third burner ran too hot. She knew Ray watered down the soup near closing and told the staff not to mention it. She knew the diner could have been good if someone kind had owned it. That thought hurt because once long before medical bills and double shifts, Harper had kept a notebook of cafe ideas. She had drawn little tables by windows, handwritten menus, shelves of bread flours and jars soup during rainstorms, coffee served without anyone making a waitress cry in the storage room. Her mother used to call it her someday book. Someday had become a word Harper no longer trusted. She was wiping down the counter when she saw the woman outside. At first, the older woman was only a shape beyond the wet glass, a black coat under the weak light, silver hair, a posture too straight for the weather. Then one of her paper bags split open. Oranges spilled across the sidewalk. They rolled in every direction, bright against the gray night, small suns escaping into the rain. One bounced off the curb and dropped into the gutter. Another came to rest beneath the diner window. A carton of eggs fell next, breaking open with a pale, helpless splash. The woman froze. She looked down at the mess, one gloved hand still holding the ruined bag, the other pressed to her chest as if she had been startled by her own weakness. People passed her. A young couple ducked around her beneath one umbrella. A man in a brown jacket stepped over 2 oranges and never slowed. A cyclist cursed because one rolled near his tire. No one stopped. Harper felt something twist beneath her ribs. The woman tried to bend, but her hand shook badly. She caught herself on the street lamp. For 1 second her face turned toward the diner window, and Harper saw the humiliation there. Not fear, not confusion. Shame. That was what broke Harper. She knew that look. It was the look her mother wore when she could not climb the stairs without help. The look Harper felt when her card declined at the pharmacy. The look of someone trying desperately not to become a burden in public. Ray's voice snapped behind her. "Harper, table 6 needs refills." But Harper was already moving. She set the coffee pot down too hard, grabbed nothing, and pushed through the door into the rain. "Ma'am," she called. "Wait. Let me help you." The rain hit her cold and fast. It soaked through her sleeves before she reached the curb. Her shoes slipped against the pavement as she knelt and started gathering oranges into her apron. The old woman looked down at her stunned. "Oh, honey, no. You'll ruin your uniform." Harper laughed softly without looking up. "This uniform has survived bacon grease, burned coffee, and a toddler with a ketchup bottle. Rain is not its greatest enemy." The woman's lips trembled into a smile. Up close, she was even more elegant than she had seemed through the glass. Pearl earrings, leather gloves, a black wool coat too fine for this block. Her silver hair was pinned neatly, though the rain had loosened soft strands around her face. She smelled faintly of lavender and expensive soap, strange and delicate against the diner's grease-soaked air. Harper gathered the oranges, rescued a loaf of bread from a puddle, and lifted what was left of the broken bag. "Are you hurt?" "No, dear. Only embarrassed. That heals faster than a hip." The woman laughed, surprised by it. Harper smiled and picked up another orange. "What's your name?" The old woman hesitated as if names mattered more in her world. "Evelyn." "I'm Harper." "Harper," Evelyn repeated, tasting it gently. "That is a strong name. My mama picked it because she wanted me to write my own life." "And have you?" Harper looked at the broken eggs near the gutter, then back at the glowing diner where Ray stood in the window, furious. "Not yet." Evelyn did not answer quickly. Her eyes moved over Harper's wet hair, her cheap uniform, her tired hands, the way she kept gathering fruit, though rain ran down her neck. "Not yet is not the same as no," Evelyn said. Harper almost laughed, but the words landed somewhere too tender. She stood with the groceries balanced awkwardly in her arms. "Where are you headed?" Evelyn pointed across the street. "The black car." Harper looked. A long black sedan waited near the curb with its headlights low and engine running. Two men in dark coats stood beside it, still as statues, watching everything. They did not look like chauffeurs. They looked like men who noticed exits before faces. Harper paused. Evelyn sighed. "They are mine. Unfortunately." Harper raised an eyebrow. "Most people don't say that about men who look like they know where bodies are buried." For a heartbeat, the older woman stared at her. Then she laughed. Not politely, not quietly. A real laugh that seemed to surprise her. "Oh, I like you." Harper carried the groceries across the street with Evelyn beside her. Halfway there, one of the men stepped forward, alarm tightening his face. "Mrs. Cross." "I'm fine, Miles," Evelyn said. "This young lady saved my oranges." Miles looked Harper over with open suspicion. Harper lifted one of the oranges. "Just fruit. Unless citrus is illegal now." Evelyn laughed again. Miles did not. Harper placed the groceries carefully into the open car door. The inside smelled like leather cedar and money. Real money, quiet money. The kind that did not need gold trim because everyone already knew. Evelyn reached into her purse. Harper stepped back at once. "No, please." Evelyn paused. "I would like to thank you." "You did." "I have not." Harper shook her head. "I didn't do it for money." The words came sharper than she meant. Pride had a way of standing up before she could tell it to sit down. Evelyn studied her face. "You need it." Harper's jaw tightened. "I didn't say that." "You did not have to." Rain tapped against the roof of the car. The two men watched. Across the street, Ray stood at the diner window like a storm trapped in human skin. Harper lowered her voice. "Then you understand why I can't take it." Something changed in Evelyn's expression. It softened, but not with pity. Harper would have hated pity. This was recognition. Evelyn took Harper's cold hand between both of hers. "Kindness without a price is rare, Harper Quinn." Harper tried to pull her hand back gently. "It was just groceries." No, Evelyn said. It was not. For one strange moment, the rain, the diner, the men in dark coats, and the street all seemed to hold still. Then Harper heard Ray slam open the diner door. Harper! The sound of her name in his mouth broke the spell. She stepped back. I should go. Evelyn nodded, but her eyes stayed on Harper as if she were memorizing her. Thank you, dear. Harper gave a small smile. Get home safe. Miles closed the car door. The black sedan pulled away smooth and silent, disappearing into the rain like it had never belonged to the street at all. Harper ran back to the diner, soaked through. The bell above the door rang violently when she entered. Ray was waiting by the register. You think this is a charity kitchen? Harper wiped rain from her face. She needed help. You abandoned the floor. For 3 minutes. Customers were waiting. Harper looked around. Nobody seemed angry. Mrs. Alvarez looked ready to throw a fork at him. Ray stepped closer, lowering his voice just enough to make it uglier. You need this job, Harper. Your mother needs this job. Remember that before you start playing saint on my time. Heat rose behind Harper's eyes. She swallowed it. She had become good at swallowing things. Anger, hunger, fear, words that should have been spoken, tears that would only make cruel people feel taller. Yes, Ray. He smiled without kindness. I'm docking 15 minutes. Mia snapped from behind the counter. She was helping an old woman. Ray turned on her. You want to lose 15, too? Harper gave Mia a small look. Don't. Mia pressed her lips together, furious. The rest of the shift blurred. Coffee, gumbo, pie, refill, smile, apologize, wipe, carry, smile again. Her uniform dried badly against her skin. Her feet throbbed. Her stomach cramped because the committed fry had not held up as a meal. At midnight, the last customer left the open sign went dark, and Harper cleaned the counter while Ray counted cash in the office. Mia found her near the back shelf and pressed a foil packet into her hand. Biscuits, she said. Harper closed her fingers around it. I'll pay you back. With what air, Mia? Take the biscuits. Harper did. Outside, the rain had softened to a mist. The city looked rinsed and bruised. She walked home beneath broken streetlights, past shuttered shops and overflowing gutters, carrying the biscuits in one hand and her purse in the other. A bus hissed by without stopping because the driver did not see her in time. Harper watched its red lights fade. Of course, she thought. She walked the remaining 6 blocks. Her apartment sat above a laundromat that ran late because the neighborhood worked odd hours. The machines shook the floor at night. The stairwell smelled like detergent, old smoke, and damp concrete. One bulb flickered on the second landing. Harper paused outside her door and removed the red notice from where she had hidden it inside her purse. She stared at it for a moment. Final warning. She folded it smaller and smaller until it fit inside the pocket of her apron. Then she went in. The apartment was small and cold. A thrift store lamp glowed beside the couch. The kitchen sink dripped. A blanket had slipped from her mother's knees. June Quinn slept on the sofa with an oxygen tube beneath her nose. The machine beside her hummed steadily, a small mechanical prayer. Harper set the biscuits on the counter and crossed the room quietly. She tucked the blanket around her mother's legs and kissed her forehead. June opened one eye. Long day. Harper smiled. Normal day. That means bad when you say it. It was fine. You are a terrible liar. I helped an old lady with groceries. June's tired face warmed. That part sounds like you. Ray docked my pay for it. That part sounds like Ray. Harper laughed under her breath, though it hurt. June shifted, slightly wincing. Come sit. Harper sat on the edge of the coffee table because the armchair had laundry on it. June studied her. You're wet. I was wet. Now I'm just cold. Eat something. Mia gave us biscuits. Good woman, the best. For a while, they listened to the oxygen machine and the distant rumble of dryers below. Then June said, "Your daddy used to say kindness comes back wearing different shoes." Harper looked at the stack of bills on the table. Rent, pharmacy, electric. A hospital statement with numbers so large they no longer felt connected to real life. "I hope kindness wears work boots and brings rent money." June reached for her hand. Harper gave it. Her mother's fingers felt thin and warm. "You still have that notebook?" Harper looked away. "What notebook, the someday one?" "Mama, I know you kept it." Harper sighed. "It's in the closet. You should look at it again. Looking doesn't pay bills." "No. But forgetting costs something too." Harper did not answer, because if she answered, she might say the thing she never said out loud, that she was scared someday had already passed her by, that every shift at the diner felt like one more door closing, that she loved her mother more than anything and still sometimes hated the life illness had made for them, that guilt followed the thought so quickly it stole her breath. June squeezed her hand. "I'm proud of you." Harper's eyes stung. For getting yelled at and collecting wet oranges, for stopping. Harper looked at her mother. Outside, a car passed slowly along the street. Its headlights slid across the blinds, briefly striping the room in white. Harper turned her head. The car paused near the curb below, only for a moment. Then it moved on. June's eyes had closed again. Harper stood, checked the lock, then checked it a second time. She placed the biscuits in the refrigerator, though there was almost nothing else inside. On the counter beside the overdue bills, she set one orange she had accidentally carried back in her apron pocket. It looked too bright for the room. She touched it once, then turned off the kitchen light. That night, Harper slept in the armchair beside her mother because June's breathing sounded rough. Rain whispered against the window. The laundromat machines thumped below. Somewhere in the city, jazz floated weakly through wet streets. Near dawn, Harper woke with a stiff neck and the feeling that something had shifted while she slept. Her phone alarm buzzed. She dressed in the same uniform because there was no time to wash it. She warmed one biscuit for June, left her medication arranged on the counter, and wrote a note in careful letters. "Call me if breathing gets bad." "I mean it." June was awake enough to smile at her from the couch. "You look like trouble found you and changed its mind." Harper kissed her cheek. "Trouble can't afford me." She walked to Magnolia Diner under a pale morning sky. The rain had stopped, but the streets still shone. The whole city seemed washed clean, though Harper knew better. New Orleans had a way of hiding rot beneath music, money beneath manners, danger beneath beautiful gates. At the diner, Ray was already complaining before she tied her apron. "You're 3 minutes late. The bus was slow. Excuses are free. Time is not." Harper looked at him, then at the coffee machines waiting to be filled. For once, she almost said something. Instead, she tied her apron and went to work. The breakfast rush came hard. Truckers, nurses, 2 cops, a mother with a crying baby. Office workers who wanted coffee as if caffeine could save them from their own lives. Harper moved through all of it with practiced grace, pouring, carrying, smiling, fading into the background again. Then the sound outside changed. Not one engine. Several. Deep. Smooth. Expensive. The diner windows darkened as black vehicles pulled to the curb. Harper looked up from the coffee pot. 5 black SUVs stood outside Magnolia Diner, lined up like a decision the world had already made. The bell above the door rang, and the men who stepped inside were looking for her. The men who came for Harper did not raise their voices. They did not need to. Fear moved through Magnolia Diner before they took a second step, sliding between tables, cooling coffee, silencing forks against plates. Harper stood behind the counter with the coffee pot still warm in her hand. The man closest to her was tall, clean-shaven, and dressed in a black suit that looked too expensive for breakfast. His eyes moved over the room once, then settled on her. Harper Quinn. Her name sounded different in his mouth. Not like a question. Like a location. Ray came around the counter so fast he nearly slipped. "Gentlemen, I am the manager here. Whatever this is, I can help." The man did not even blink at him. "I am speaking to Harper." Harper set the coffee pot down. The glass touched the warmer with a tiny click that felt too loud. "That's me." The man reached into his coat. A waitress in the corner gasped. One of the cops at booth 5 shifted his hand toward his belt, then stopped when he recognized the black vehicles outside. Nobody wanted trouble that arrived in silence. The man pulled out a cream-colored envelope. Harper stared at it. Her name was written across the front in blue ink, elegant and careful. She took it because refusing seemed more dangerous than opening it. Inside was a short note. "Dear Harper, last night, when everyone else looked away, you stopped. My son would like to thank you properly. Please do not be frightened by the men. They have never been good at looking friendly. With gratitude, Evelyn Cross." Harper read the last name twice. Cross. A whisper moved through the diner. As in Adrian Cross, Ray's face lost all its color. Harper looked up at the man. "Your boss sends 5 SUVs to say thank you." The man's expression did not change, but something almost like amusement moved at the corner of his mouth. "Mr. Cross sends security for everything. I am working." Ray grabbed her elbow, his fingers tight through her sleeve. "Go," he hissed. Harper looked down at his hand, then back at him. Yesterday he had docked her pay for helping an old woman. Now he looked ready to gift wrap her and send her out the door. The man in the black suit looked at Ray's hand. "Remove it." Ray let go so quickly Harper almost laughed. She untied her apron. Her fingers shook, but she made herself move slowly. She folded the apron once, then placed it on the counter beside the coffee pot. "I am only going because Mrs. Cross asked nicely." The man nodded. "She said you might say that." Outside, the rear window of the middle SUV lowered. Evelyn Cross sat inside, silver hair neat, pearl earrings shining softly in the morning light. She gave Harper a warm smile through the tinted glass. "Good morning, dear." Harper breathed for the first time in what felt like several minutes. She stepped out of Magnolia Diner with every customer watching her back. The suited man opened the SUV door. Harper hesitated at the curb. The vehicle smelled like leather cedar and power. It was too clean, too quiet, too far from everything she understood. Evelyn patted the seat beside her. "Come sit. I promise no one is kidnapping you before breakfast." Harper slid inside carefully. "That is comforting in a very specific way." Evelyn laughed. The door closed, shutting out Ray, the diner, the staring faces, and the weak neon sign that had buzzed over Harper's head for 3 years. As the SUV pulled away, Harper looked back. Ray stood in the window, pale and stiff, like he had just discovered the girl he underpaid had a name worth fearing. For a while, neither woman spoke. New Orleans moved past the tinted windows in wet gold and gray. Corner stores, old balconies, iron fences. A man sweeping water from a doorway. A woman carrying flowers beneath a clear umbrella. Street musicians packing away from the rain. Then the roads widened. The houses grew quieter. The lawns became greener and less forgiving. Harper kept her hands folded in her lap. Evelyn noticed. "You are angry. I am confused. That is a polite word for angry." Harper looked at her. "I helped you with groceries." "Yes. And now I am in a car with men who look like they solve problems with shovels." Evelyn's mouth twitched. "They solve problems with many things. Shovels are not usually first." That did not help. "I know." Harper glanced at the driver, then at the man in the passenger seat. Both stared ahead as if they had been carved from the same dark stone. Mrs. Cross, why am I really here? Evelyn turned her gloved hands over in her lap. My son wanted to meet the girl who refused money. That cannot be rare enough to need 5 SUVs. In my son's world it is. The answer sat between them. Harper looked out the window. I do not belong in that world. No, Evelyn said softly. Neither do I some days. That made Harper turn back. Evelyn's smile had faded. Without it, she looked older. Not weak, but tired in a way expensive clothes could not hide. They reached tall black gates guarded by 2 men beneath a stone arch. A camera turned toward the SUV. The gates opened without anyone speaking. The Cross estate stood beyond a row of magnolia trees, pale stone walls rising behind wet gardens. The mansion looked old and beautiful with wide columns, deep windows, and balconies wrapped in black iron. Rainwater dripped from the roof in silver threads. Security cameras watched from corners so discreetly Harper almost missed them. Almost. The SUV rolled to a stop before the front steps. Harper stared. This is where people live. Evelyn looked at the mansion. Some people, not always happily. A man opened Harper's door. She stepped out and felt the ground change beneath her. The driveway was smooth stone, no cracks, no gum, no puddles deep enough to soak through shoes. Everything here had been chosen, paid for, protected. Inside the house was warm. Golden light fell from chandeliers. Marble floors reflected Harper's cheap sneakers. Somewhere deeper in the mansion, a piano played softly, though Harper could not tell if it was a person or a recording. The air smelled like polished wood, fresh flowers, and something darker. Old smoke, maybe, or secrets. A maid appeared, took Evelyn's coat, and gave Harper a kind but cautious glance. Harper became suddenly aware of her diner uniform. The faded blue dress, the loose thread near her sleeve, the small coffee stain on her collar. She tried to smooth it with one hand. Evelyn saw. Do not do that. What? Make yourself smaller because the room is large. Harper dropped her hand. I was checking for syrup. No, dear. You were apologizing for existing. The words struck harder than Harper expected. Evelyn held out her arm. Walk with me. Harper hesitated. Do you need help? No. I want company. That answer softened something in Harper. She took Evelyn's arm and they walked down the long hall together. On the walls hung photographs and paintings, men in suits, women in pearls. A younger Evelyn standing beside a stern man with silver at his temples. A boy of about 15 with dark hair and unsmiling eyes. Beside him stood a younger boy with a crooked grin. Harper slowed near the photograph. Evelyn followed her gaze. My sons, she said. Harper looked at the younger boy. He looks like trouble. He was joy disguised as trouble. Was. Harper heard it. She did not ask. They passed another portrait. This one had been restored, but Harper noticed a small mark near the lower edge of the frame, a rough spot in the wood, a tiny dark scar. Bullet damage. Evelyn noticed her noticing. Old family history. Harper swallowed. That sounds like rich people language for trauma. For a second, Evelyn stared at her. Then she laughed low and genuine. You are very direct. I work for tips, saves time. They stopped before 2 dark wooden doors. Evelyn's grip tightened slightly on Harper's arm, though her face remained calm. My son is intense. I gathered that from the convoy. He means well. That is what people say right before someone does not mean well. Evelyn gave her an approving look. You will do fine. Before Harper could ask what that meant, the doors opened. Adrian Cross stood inside. Harper forgot the sentence forming in her mind. He was younger than she expected. Not young exactly, but not the old, heavy man her imagination had built around his name. He was maybe 39, tall, broad-dressed in a black suit without a tie. His shirt was open at the throat. Tattoos moved from his hand beneath his cuff, dark against his skin. A gold watch sat at his wrist. Rings marked 2 fingers. Everything about him looked controlled, from the way he stood behind his desk to the way his eyes measured the room before he spoke. His gaze went first to Evelyn's hand on Harper's arm, then to Harper's face. Something sharp passed there. "You should have called me last night," he said to his mother. His voice was low, calm, worse than yelling. Evelyn sighed. "I dropped oranges, Adrian. I did not declare war. You were outside without Miles close enough. I crossed a sidewalk. In this city, that is enough." Harper pressed her lips together to stop a smile. Adrian saw it. "You find this funny a little?" Evelyn looked delighted. "I told you." Adrian did not look away from Harper. "You helped my mother. She dropped groceries. Most people kept walking. They were rude." "Yes," he said. "They were." The simplicity of his agreement made Harper uncomfortable. He said rude the way another man might say guilty. He moved behind his desk and picked up a small velvet box. Harper stepped back. "No." Adrian paused. "You have not seen what it is. If it is expensive, no." His eyebrow lifted. "You refuse gifts often, only from men who send armed escorts to diners." The office went silent. One of the men near the door shifted his weight. Evelyn covered her mouth, but her eyes were laughing. Adrian stared at Harper for 3 long seconds. Then he gave a single short laugh, quiet and surprised. "You know who I am. Everybody knows who you are. And still you speak to me like that. I am poor, Mr. Cross. Not stupid." The words came out before fear could stop them. Harper felt heat rush into her face, but she did not look away. Adrian stepped closer, bringing the velvet box with him. He did not invade her space. He stopped just far enough to make it clear he knew exactly where the line was. For now. He opened the box. Inside lay a delicate silver bracelet with a tiny magnolia charm. Not flashy, not enormous, not something meant to blind a person. It was beautiful in a quiet way. Harper's defenses slipped before she could catch them. Evelyn touched her arm. "It is not payment. It is memory." Harper looked at the charm. A magnolia. New Orleans soft and stubborn, blooming after storms. "It is beautiful," she admitted. "Then take it," Adrian said. Her eyes lifted to him. "Do you always sound like you are giving orders?" "I am usually giving orders. That must be exhausting for everyone around you." Evelyn laughed again, and this time even one of the guards near the door looked down to hide a smile. Adrian's expression tightened, but his eyes changed. Not softened, not yet, but interested. "Most people are careful with me. Maybe most people have better survival instincts. And you," Harper thought of unpaid rent, her mother's oxygen machine. Ray's hand on her elbow. "I have work at 10. Evelyn spoke quickly. "You will stay for tea." Harper looked at the clock on the wall. "I really cannot." Adrian took out his phone. "You have the day off." Harper stared at him. "No, I do not." His thumb moved once across the screen. "You do now." Her stomach dropped. "Did you just call my boss?" "Yes." "You cannot rearrange my life because your mother likes me." "I can." Harper stepped closer to his desk before she thought better of it. Wrong answer. The room changed. The men near the door went still. Evelyn watched with the bright attention of a woman enjoying a dangerous play. Harper kept going because stopping now would feel like surrender. "Listen to me, Mr. Cross. Last night I helped your mother because she needed help. I did not do it to get dragged out of work, handed jewelry, and managed by a man who thinks permission is something other people ask for." Adrian's jaw flexed. "You should be careful." Harper's pulse hammered in her throat. I am careful every day. I am careful with bills, with tips, with my mother's medicine, with how much milk I pour into coffee because Ray counts waste like it is a federal crime. I am careful with men who think being louder makes them right. So yes, I am careful. Adrian said nothing. Harper's voice dropped. But I cannot afford surprises. That seemed to land somewhere he had not guarded. Evelyn's smile faded. Harper, dear. Harper drew a breath and looked away. I am sorry. I do not mean to be rude. Adrian studied her for a long moment. Then he closed the box and placed it in her hand. No strings, no debt, no demand. Tea and then you return to work. Harper looked at the box in her palm. The silver bracelet inside weighed almost nothing. Somehow it felt heavy. 1 tea, she said. Evelyn smiled. 1 tea. Tea became lunch. Harper did not know how it happened. Evelyn had a way of asking questions that opened doors Harper usually kept locked. They sat in a glass room overlooking the garden while rain tapped softly overhead. A tray arrived with tea, warm bread, sliced fruit. Little cakes Harper did not know how to eat without feeling watched. So she took the bread. Evelyn noticed and pushed the basket closer. Good choice. I understand bread. Most people do. Not like this. Evelyn looked pleased. They talked about nothing at first. Weather, the diner, how New Orleans smelled different after rain. Evelyn complained that her son had turned her life into a schedule guarded by men with earpieces. He loves you, Harper said. He fears losing me. He mistakes that for love. Harper looked out at the garden. That sounds lonely. It is. The answer came too quickly. Harper turned back. Evelyn folded her hands. What about your mother? Harper's guard rose. What about her? She is ill. Harper looked at the tea. Yes. Do you care for her alone? Mostly. And who cares for you? Harper tried to smile. Coffee. Evelyn did not smile back. The question lingered. Harper changed the subject. You have a beautiful garden? That was almost graceful. I panicked. That made Evelyn laugh again. After lunch, Evelyn insisted on showing Harper the magnolia trees. The rain had slowed to a mist and the garden smelled green and alive. Men watched from a distance, pretending not to. Harper noticed every one. Evelyn did too. They think I do not see them. Do you? I raised Adrian Cross. I see everything. Harper smiled. They stopped beneath a tree heavy with white blossoms. Evelyn looked up. When Adrian was little, he used to climb that tree and refused to come down unless I promised him cake. Harper tried to imagine the man in the office as a boy with scraped knees and cake demands. Hard to picture. He was not always hard. The words were quiet. Harper waited. Evelyn touched a low branch. His father died badly. His brother, too. After that softness became something Adrian buried before anyone could use it against him. Harper remembered the younger boy in the photograph, the one with the crooked grin. I am sorry. Evelyn nodded once. So am I. Across the terrace, Adrian stood with Miles. He looked like he was discussing business, but his eyes kept returning to Harper and his mother beneath the tree. Miles followed his gaze. She is ordinary. Adrian watched Harper laugh at something Evelyn said. No, she is a waitress. So was my grandmother. Miles said nothing. Adrian's eyes stayed on Harper. She refused money she clearly needed. That makes her proud. That makes her rare. Harper looked up then and caught him watching. For a moment, the garden, the guards, the mansion, and Evelyn all seemed to fall away. Adrian's gaze held hers with unsettling focus. Not soft, not gentle. but awake. Harper looked away first. By late afternoon, she knew she had stayed too long. "I need to go back." Evelyn protested, but Adrian only nodded. "I will have Miles drive you. I can take the bus." "No." There it was again. The command. Harper turned to him. "You were doing so well." A faint smile touched his mouth. "Miles will drive you, please." The please sounded unfamiliar on him. Harper considered making him say it twice, then decided she liked living. "Fine." At the front door, Evelyn took Harper's hands. "Come see me again." Harper was not sure what to say. "I work most days. Then I shall come to the diner." Harper laughed. "You should know the coffee is terrible. I have survived worse." Adrian stood a few feet away, silent. Harper looked at him. "Thank you for tea. And lunch. You are pushing it." This time he almost smiled. Miles opened the SUV door. Harper stepped inside and looked once more at the mansion. In the upper window, a curtain shifted. Someone watching. Maybe staff. Maybe security. Maybe the house itself, keeping count of everyone who entered and left. The drive back felt shorter. Harper kept the bracelet box in her lap. She had not put it on. She did not know if she would. Gifts from men like Adrian Cross did not feel simple, no matter what Evelyn said. When the SUV stopped outside Magnolia Diner, the lunch rush had faded. Through the window, Harper saw Mia at the counter and Ray pacing near the register. Miles opened the door for her. Before she stepped out, he spoke. "Miss Quinn." She looked at him. "Yes." His eyes moved briefly toward the street, then back to her. "Be careful who notices you." The words sent a chill through her. Harper stepped onto the sidewalk. Magnolia Diner looked the same as always. Same cracked window decal, same flickering sign, same smell of coffee and grease when she opened the door. But the room quieted when she walked in. Mia hurried toward her. "Please tell me you did not spend half the day with Adrian Cross." Harper slipped the velvet box into her apron pocket. It was tea. Mia stared at her. "With people like that, Harper, nothing is just tea." Ray appeared from the office, his smile tight and fake. "Harper, everything all right?" She looked at him, at the man who had docked her pay for 3 minutes of kindness and now spoke like she was made of glass. For the first time, she did not lower her eyes. "I need my 15 minutes back." Ray blinked. "What?" "You docked my pay last night. Put it back." His smile faltered. "Of course. Simple mistake. And Mia's training hours. The ones you keep calling unpaid observation." Mia went still beside her. Ray's face hardened, then quickly softened when he glanced toward the black SUV still waiting outside. "We can discuss that." Harper held his gaze. "No. You can fix it." The diner seemed to hold its breath. Ray nodded once. "Fine." Harper walked behind the counter, tied her apron, and reached for the coffee pot. Her hands were steady. But in her pocket, the little velvet box pressed against her hip like a secret with a pulse. Outside, across the street, a man in a gray car lowered his phone after taking her picture. The man in the gray car was gone by the time Harper looked through the diner window again, but the feeling of being watched stayed behind. It clung to her skin through the afternoon rush. She poured coffee, carried plates, wiped tables, and smiled when customers spoke to her, but her eyes kept drifting to the street. Every parked car looked too still. Every stranger who paused near the window made her fingers tighten around the coffee pot. She told herself she was being dramatic. Then she felt the velvet box in her apron pocket and knew her life had crossed some invisible line before she had agreed to anything. Mia noticed first. "You keep looking outside." Harper slid 2 burgers onto a tray. "No, I do not. You just looked outside while saying that." Harper exhaled. There was a man across the street. What kind of man? The kind who takes pictures without asking. Mia's face changed. Harper. I know. Tell Adrian Cross. Harper almost laughed. That is not a sentence normal people say. Normal left when 5 black SUVs parked outside breakfast. Ray came out of the office with a stack of receipts in his hand. He had been unusually quiet since Harper returned. Too quiet. He smiled at her twice, both times, like it physically hurt him. Harper, he said, stopping near the counter. Can I speak with you? Mia crossed her arms. Anything you say to her, you can say here. Ray's eyes flicked toward her. This is management business. Harper set the tray down. No. Say it here. A muscle jumped in Ray's cheek, but fear won over pride. I corrected the 15 minutes from last night. And Mia's hours, I am reviewing the records. Harper looked at him. Ray swallowed. They will be corrected too. Mia stared at him as if she had just watched a rat perform a hymn. Just like that. Ray's smile tightened. Just like that. Harper should have felt victorious. Instead, she felt the cold shape of the truth. Ray had not become fair. He had become afraid. That was not justice. That was borrowed power. And borrowed power always came with a hand around the other end. Near closing, the diner door opened. The room quieted before Harper even turned. Adrian Cross stepped inside. No convoy this time. Only Miles behind him standing near the door with his hands folded in front of him. Adrian wore a dark coat over a black shirt, his hair still damp from the evening mist. He looked too expensive for the cracked tile floor, too dangerous beneath the humming lights, and too calm for the way every customer stopped breathing. Harper set a mug beneath the coffee machine. What are you doing here? Adrian glanced at the menu board. Coffee. You own 5 restaurants downtown. I wanted this one. You have terrible taste. His eyes moved over her face, and for 1 second the room seemed to narrow. Maybe. Mia made a small sound and turned away fast. Harper grabbed the coffee pot and poured him a cup. Black. No sugar. You remembered. You look like sugar has personally offended you. Adrian took the cup. Sit with me. No. His eyebrow lifted. No, I am working. You are closing. I am still working. Ray appeared instantly from the back, wiping his hands on a towel. Harper can take a break, Mr. Cross. Harper turned her head slowly. Harper can speak for herself. Ray froze. Adrian watched her with something close to approval. Then speak. She leaned both hands on the counter. I did not ask you to come here. No. I did not ask you to scare my boss. No. I did not ask you to turn my whole day into gossip. No. Then why are you here? Adrian took one slow sip of coffee. Because someone photographed you leaving my home. The diner noise dimmed in Harper's ears. Mia stepped closer. Ray went very still. Harper lowered her voice. You know about that. I know many things. That is not comforting. It was not meant to be. Harper looked toward the window. The street outside was wet and dark. A bus passed. A man hurried beneath an umbrella. Nothing looked wrong, which somehow made it worse. Who was he, I am finding out? That sounds like you do not know. Adrian set the cup down. It sounds like I do not guess. His calm irritated her more than panic would have. You could have called. I wanted to see the place. The place. His gaze moved around the diner. The cracked red booths. The flickering light near the back. The faded posters. The coffee-stained menus. The loose tile near the kitchen door. This place. Harper felt defensive before she understood why. It is not much. I did not say that. You looked it. Adrian's eyes returned to her. I was looking at what has been allowed to rot. Ray coughed. It is an old building, sir. Adrian did not look at him. I know. I bought it this afternoon. Silence dropped hard. Harper stared at him. You... What? Ray made a strangled sound. Adrian remained perfectly still. The landlord was eager to sell. Harper stepped out from behind the counter. You bought the building? Yes. Magnolia Diner. The building and the lease. Because of coffee. Because your manager steals wages, ignores repairs stores, expired food near the back sink, and schedules workers for unpaid training shifts. Ray's face went white. That is not true. Adrian turned his head. Ray stopped talking. Harper felt heat climb her throat. You had no right. Adrian looked back at her. I had every legal right. That is not what I mean. I know what you mean. No, you do not. Her voice sharpened. You think because you can do something that makes it simple. You think if you buy the building, fix the locks, scare Ray, and pay people back, then the problem is solved. Is it not better? It is not yours to decide without asking. The words struck the room so cleanly that even Miles looked at her. Adrian's face gave away almost nothing, but his eyes darkened. I did it to protect you. I did not ask to be protected like property. The last word changed him. Not much. Just enough. Ray backed quietly toward the office. Adrian noticed without turning. Stay where I can see you, Mr. Caldwell. Ray stopped. Harper looked from one man to the other and felt sick with frustration. This is my job, my life, my friends' hours, my mother's rent. You cannot just walk into it like a storm and call the damage shelter. Adrian stepped closer, but not too close. Your manager threatened you after I left yesterday. Harper went still. Mia whispered, What? Adrian's voice dropped. He told you luck would run out. He told you people like you do not get second chances. He said if Cross forgot your name by morning, you would be begging for shifts by Friday. Harper's skin went cold. Ray looked at the floor. She turned on Adrian. How do you know that? The answer was in his silence. You had me watched. To keep you safe. I did not ask you to keep me safe. No. His voice hardened. But someone followed you home last night. Not my men. The diner seemed to tilt. Harper gripped the counter behind her. Mia reached for her arm. Someone followed you. Adrian continued, careful now, each word placed with weight. My mother spoke openly about you. She praised you in my house in front of staff, in front of men who carry information for money. In my world, being favored makes you useful. Harper gave a short, humorless laugh. So helping with groceries got me a stalker. Yes. That is the worst thank you gift anyone has ever given. For the first time, regret moved across Adrian's face. I know. Harper looked away because that made him harder to hate. Ray tried to speak. Harper. I had no idea there was any danger. Mia rounded on him. You did not care when the danger was rent. Ray shut his mouth. Adrian placed a folded paper on the counter. Back wages, every employee, 3 years, paid by Friday. Ray Caldwell is no longer manager. Ray's head snapped up. You cannot do that. Adrian finally smiled. It was small and cold. I already did. Mia stared at the paper, then at Harper. Harper did not know whether to feel relief or rage. Both moved through her at once, tangled and sharp. Who manages it now? She asked. Adrian looked at Mia. She does, if she accepts. Mia's mouth opened, then closed, then opened again. I do not know how to manage a diner. Harper turned to her. Yes, you do. You have been doing it for free. Mia blinked hard and looked away. Ray's voice turned bitter. This is ridiculous. Adrian did not raise his voice. Leave your keys on the counter. Ray looked ready to argue, but Miles took one quiet step from the door. The keys hit the counter a few seconds later. Ray walked out into the rain without his coat. Nobody clapped. Nobody cheered. The staff just stood in the stunned silence of people who had been mistreated so long that rescue felt suspicious. Later, after the customers left and the locks were changed by men who seemed to appear from nowhere, Harper found Adrian near the back door inspecting the frame. "You really do think everything is yours to fix?" He ran one hand along the cracked wood. "No, I think everything breaks faster when no one fixes it. That sounds wise until you realize people are not doors." He looked at her then. "I know the difference. Do you?" The question hung between them. For a moment neither spoke. Then Adrian said, "Let me drive you home." "No, Harper." "No, Adrian." It was the first time she had used his first name. His expression shifted, subtle and immediate. She noticed. He noticed that she noticed. Her voice softened, but only slightly. "I am angry. I am grateful. I am scared. I do not know what to do with any of that, and I will not let you solve it by putting me in another car." He studied her. "The man who followed you is still out there. And if I say no..." His jaw tightened. "I follow from a distance." Harper almost smiled despite herself. "That is not better. It is honest." Mia came from the office holding the payroll paper like it might disappear. "Harper," she said quietly, "let him drive you." Harper looked at her friend. Mia's face was pale. "Please." That please did what Adrian's orders could not. Harper took off her apron. "Fine. You drive. You do not command. You do not lecture. You do not buy anything between here and my apartment." Adrian nodded. "I can manage that." Mia muttered. "Can he?" Harper heard it and nearly laughed. The ride home was quiet. New Orleans slid by in streaks of rain and neon. Harper sat in the front passenger seat because sitting in the back made her feel like cargo. Adrian drove himself, which surprised her. Miles followed in another car behind them. Harper watched his hands on the steering wheel. Ink across his knuckles, strong fingers, a silver ring, a faint scar near his thumb. "You always drive like someone is chasing you, no. Then why are you checking every mirror? Because someone might be." Her stomach tightened. He noticed. "I should not have said it like that. But it is true." Yes. The honesty was worse than comfort. They turned onto her block. The laundromat sign buzzed blue in the damp air. A dog barked somewhere behind a fence. The street looked normal. Then Harper saw him. A man across the street by the closed liquor store. Gray hoodie, cap low. He turned away too quickly when Adrian's headlights swept across him. Adrian saw him at the same time. The car stopped. "Stay inside," Adrian said. Harper unbuckled her seatbelt. "Do not start." He was already out. Miles moved faster than Harper thought a man could move. He crossed the street, caught the stranger by the arm, and pinned him against the brick wall before the man made it 3 steps. Harper got out. Adrian turned. "I said stay inside, and I ignored you. We are both learning things." His eyes flashed, but he looked back to Miles. The man struggled until Miles twisted his wrist just enough to make him stop. Adrian approached slowly. "Who sent you?" The man said nothing. Miles searched his pockets and pulled out a folded photograph. Harper knew what it was before she saw it. Her leaving the Cross estate. On the back, written in black marker, were the words, "The widow's little waitress." The street seemed to drop away beneath her. Adrian's face became terrifyingly empty. "Who sent you?" he asked again. The man swallowed. No answer. Adrian smiled. Harper felt deep in her body that whatever came after that smile did not belong in front of her building. She stepped forward. "Do not." Adrian looked at her. "Harper, not here. He followed you home. My mother is upstairs." That stopped him. The word mother cut through whatever darkness had risen in him. He looked up at the apartment window above the laundromat. A weak yellow light glowed behind the blinds. Then he turned to Miles. "Take him somewhere quiet. Find out who paid him." Miles nodded and pulled the man toward the car. Harper's legs felt unsteady. She hated that Adrian saw it. He came close but did not touch her. "May I check your apartment?" The question surprised her. Not the request. The may. She wrapped her arms around herself. "My mother will panic. Then I will be polite. Can you? I can try." Despite everything. Harper almost laughed. June Quinn was awake when they entered. She sat upright on the couch with a blanket over her knees and the oxygen tube beneath her nose. Her gray hair was loose around her face and her eyes were sharp enough to cut through all Adrian's money before he crossed the room. She looked at Harper first. "Baby, I am okay." June looked at Adrian. "You are the reason my daughter came home in a black car." Adrian stood near the door, hands visible, posture respectful. "Yes, ma'am." "You trouble." "Yes, ma'am." Harper closed her eyes. "Adrian." June tilted her head. "At least he is honest." Adrian checked the apartment without making a show of it. The weak lock, the loose window latch, the fire escape outside Harper's bedroom window, the thin door, the gap near the frame. Each detail tightened his face. June watched him the whole time. "You care about her?" Harper froze near the kitchen. Adrian stopped by the window. He looked at Harper first, then back at June. "I am beginning to." The room went silent except for the oxygen machine. June did not soften. Then, "Do not make her pay for your world." Adrian's voice changed. "I am trying not to." June held his gaze. "Try harder." No one spoke for several seconds. Then Adrian nodded once. "I will." Later, after he arranged 2 men outside the building and Harper argued until she ran out of breath, he stood in the hallway while she blocked the doorway. "This is not normal," she said. "No, I hate that. I know. I hate that part of me feels safer." His eyes softened almost too quickly to see. "I know that too." Harper looked at him in the dim stairwell. The dangerous man from the mansion, the silent owner of half the city, the son who feared losing his mother so much he turned love into surveillance. He looked less invincible under the flickering hall light. He looked tired. "Good night, Adrian. Lock the door." She gave him a look. He corrected himself. "Please." Harper closed the door and locked it. Then, because she was angry at him and frightened by the night and still somehow smiling, she locked the second chain louder than necessary. Her phone buzzed before she reached the couch. Adrian door locked. Harper stared at the message. She typed back. "2 guards outside. You tell me." His reply came almost at once. "They are for the stairwell. The door still matters." She looked at the lock. "Yes. Door locked. Good." Harper set the phone down, but her hand lingered near it longer than she wanted to admit. The next few days turned strange. Magnolia Diner changed around her like a body healing too quickly. New locks, fresh supplies, a repaired freezer, a plumber under the sink, an electrician replacing the light that had flickered for 2 years. Mia sat in the office with payroll records spread around her, crying once, then threatening to stab anyone who mentioned it. Back wages arrived on Friday. Not promises. Checks. A cook named Leon held his envelope in both hands and stared at it until his eyes filled. "I can fix my truck," he whispered. Mia pressed a hand over her mouth. Harper tried to stay angry. It was hard to be furious while people cried from relief. Evelyn began visiting every afternoon. She took the same booth by the window and ordered tea, even though Harper warned her the diner's tea tasted like boiled regret. "I have survived worse," Evelyn said. "You keep saying that because it keeps being true." One afternoon, Evelyn watched Harper wipe down the counter after lunch. "You love this place." Harper glanced around. "I love what it could be." "What could it be?" Harper hesitated. Then, because Evelyn had a way of making silence feel safe, she answered. "Warm, clean, honest, fresh bread in the mornings, soup when it rains, a place where nobody gets yelled at for being tired." Evelyn smiled softly. "Then make it yours." Harper laughed. With what money, Evelyn only lifted her teacup. Harper narrowed her eyes. "Do not." I said nothing. "You have the face of a woman about to interfere. My dear, I am Southern by marriage and Italian by blood. Interference is love wearing better shoes." Harper shook her head, smiling despite herself. Outside, rain began again, soft at first, tapping the windows like fingers. Evelyn stood to leave just as the sky darkened over the street. Harper came around the counter. "Let me get your coat. I am perfectly capable." "I know." "Let me anyway." Evelyn's smile warmed. "Stubborn girl. Recognizes stubborn woman." They stepped toward the door together. For one moment it felt simple. The rain, the diner, the old woman laughing under the weak light, Harper holding a coat instead of a shield. Then Evelyn's hand tightened around Harper's wrist. Her smile faded. The color drained from her face. "Evelyn." The older woman tried to answer, but her knees gave out. Harper caught her before she hit the floor. The teacup shattered near their feet. Mia screamed for someone to call an ambulance. Harper lowered Evelyn carefully against her lap, one hand pressed to the older woman's cold cheek. "Stay with me," Harper said, her voice breaking. "Evelyn, look at me. Stay with me." Harper held Evelyn Cross on the diner floor while rain hammered against the windows, and every sound in the room broke apart. Mia was yelling into the phone. Leon had gone pale behind the counter. A customer stood frozen near the door with one hand over his mouth. The shattered teacup lay in pieces beside Harper's knee, dark tea spreading across the tile like a stain. Evelyn's eyes fluttered. "Harper," she whispered. "I'm here." Harper bent closer, keeping one hand beneath Evelyn's head. "Do not talk. Just breathe." Evelyn tried to smile. "You sound like my son. Then forgive me for the insult." A weak laugh left Evelyn, but it turned into a cough that made her whole body tremble. Harper's fear sharpened. "Mia, where is the ambulance?" 7 minutes. Harper looked at the door, at the rain, at the street beyond the glass. 7 minutes felt like a lifetime when someone was slipping away in your arms. Then the sound came. Engines. Fast. Hard. A black car stopped so sharply outside the diner that water jumped from the curb. Adrian Cross came through the door before anyone could open it. His coat was soaked at the shoulders, his face unreadable until he saw his mother on the floor. Then the mask broke. Pure fear crossed him. Not the cold kind he used as a weapon. Not anger dressed up as control. Real fear, naked and terrible, the kind that made even powerful men look young. He dropped to his knees beside Harper. "Mother." Evelyn's eyes opened a little. "You came too fast. You collapsed. I dislike the word. I dislike you on the floor." Harper shifted to give him room, but Evelyn's fingers tightened around her wrist. "No." Evelyn whispered. "Stay." Adrian saw it. His eyes moved from his mother's hand on Harper to Harper's face. For once, he did not argue. He touched Evelyn's cheek gently. "Did you take your medication?" Evelyn looked away. His jaw tightened. "Mother, it made me tired. It keeps you alive. I wanted one normal afternoon." The words were quiet, but they cut deep. Adrian looked like he had been struck. The ambulance arrived in a blur of red light and wet shoes. Paramedics filled the diner. Harper answered questions because Adrian's voice had gone too controlled, too cold, too close to breaking. She told them Evelyn had stood gone pale, gripped her wrist and fallen. She gave them the time. She described the cough. She handed them the pill bottle from Evelyn's purse when Adrian could not find it fast enough. When they lifted Evelyn onto the stretcher, Adrian walked beside her. Harper stayed back, her hands empty now, cold from where Evelyn's warmth had been. Adrian stopped at the door. He turned. "Come." Harper looked at Mia. Mia nodded once. "Go." The ride to the hospital was silent except for the siren ahead of them and the rain against the windshield. Adrian drove like the city itself had become an obstacle. Harper sat beside him, still wearing her diner uniform, tea staining the hem hands clenched in her lap. She wanted to say something. She did not know what words survived in a car with a man who looked as if he might destroy the world to avoid crying. At the hospital, Evelyn was taken behind double doors. Adrian stood in the hallway with Miles on one side and Harper on the other. Doctors moved in and out. Nurses spoke carefully. Security appeared without being asked. Crossmen filled corners like shadows that had learned to breathe. Harper felt very small beneath the fluorescent lights. Finally, a doctor came out. Evelyn was stable, dehydrated, weak. Her blood pressure had dropped. She had skipped medication and ignored symptoms for days. Adrian thanked the doctor in a voice so polite it frightened Harper more than yelling would have. When the doctor left, he turned toward the wall and placed one hand against it. For a moment, his shoulders lowered. Harper watched him fight himself back into control. "She did not want to worry you," she said. "That was not her choice." Harper leaned against the wall beside him. It was her body. His head turned sharply. "She is my mother. I know, she hides things from me. Because you treat every cough like a kidnapping." His eyes flashed. "Careful." "No." The word came out calm. Adrian stared at her. Harper's voice softened, but she did not step away. "You cannot control people into staying alive." His mouth tightened. "Watch me. Adrian. She forgets what this world does." "No, she remembers too well. That is why she wanted tea in a normal diner with a normal friend." Something moved across his face. Harper kept going. "You can love her. You can hire doctors. You can put guards at every door. You can buy buildings and cars and cameras. But you cannot turn love into a locked room and call it safety." Adrian looked through the glass wall toward the room where Evelyn lay sleeping. "I already lost too much." The words were quiet. Harper heard the boy inside them. "So did I." He turned back to her. "You do not know what this life takes." Harper felt anger rise, not hot this time, but steady. "My father left when I was 9. My mother got sick when I was 19. I lost college savings, friends' sleep, and almost every version of myself trying to keep her breathing. I have counted pills on a kitchen table and prayed one inhaler would last 2 more days. I have smiled at men who treated me like furniture because rent was due. Do not tell me I do not understand fear." The hallway seemed to still. Adrian looked at her as if he had finally seen the size of what she carried. "I am sorry," he said. "No defense, no command, no excuse. Just the words." Harper looked down because his apology touched a place her anger had been guarding. "I know you are scared." He gave a short, bitter breath. "Scared is a small word. It is the one we have." He looked at his mother again. Then slowly, carefully, as if approaching a wounded animal, he reached for Harper's hand. This time she let him take it. His hand was warm, rougher than she expected, steady in a way hers was not. They stood like that under the white hospital lights, while rain streaked the windows and the city kept moving outside, unaware that something fragile had shifted between them. Later, when Evelyn slept and Miles guarded the door, Harper found Adrian in the hospital chapel. It was small, quiet, and empty. A row of candles burned beneath stained glass. The colored light fell across Adrian's face, softening nothing and revealing everything. He sat in the back pew with his elbows on his knees. Harper slipped in without speaking. He knew she was there. "My father died in a restaurant," he said. Harper stopped halfway down the aisle. Adrian did not look at her. "I was 22. He took Evelyn and me to dinner. Public place. Safe place. That is what we thought." 3 men came in through the kitchen. My father stood before. I understood what was happening. His hands folded together. Evelyn was shot, trying to pull me down. Harper moved slowly into the pew beside him. Adrian stared at the candles. "My brother was 18 then. Caleb." He laughed at everything. He used to steal my car and bring it back with less gas and no apology. His mouth moved like he almost smiled, but the memory broke before it became one. 2 years later, someone inside our circle sold his route. Caleb died on a bridge before sunrise. Harper's throat tightened. "I am sorry." After that, I stopped believing in almost safe. His voice was flat, but the pain beneath it was old and alive. If I knew where my mother was, she lived. If I controlled the routes, she lived. If I chose the guards, the doctors, the rooms, the doors, she lived. It was simple. It was not simple, Harper said. No. He looked at her then. It was a cage. She did not soften the truth for him. Yes. His eyes stayed on hers. And if I open it, she might still get hurt. His jaw tightened. Harper touched the back of his hand. But at least she gets to live. The chapel was quiet around them. Adrian looked down at her hand on his. "You say things no one else says? Maybe no one else wants to make you mad. Do you frequently?" For the first time that day, he almost smiled. Then Miles appeared at the chapel door. His face had changed. Adrian stood before he spoke. What Miles glanced at Harper, then back at Adrian. "We found the man from the laundromat. Who paid him Mercer?" The name landed hard. Adrian's expression emptied. Harper looked between them. "Who is Mercer?" Adrian turned to her. "No one you need to meet. That means someone terrible." Miles spoke carefully. "Graham Mercer runs the Mercer family. West Bank River contracts private clubs ports. Old rivals." Harper thought of the photograph, the words written on the back. The widow's little waitress. "Why would they care about me?" Miles hesitated. Adrian answered. "They think my mother gave you something." Harper stared at him. "She gave me tea and a bracelet. They know about the bracelet." Her hand went instinctively to her pocket where the silver magnolia charm rested. Adrian noticed. "They believe it contains a key, a code or proof of something my mother took from them years ago." Harper pulled the bracelet out and held it in her palm. It looked absurdly delicate beneath the hospital lights. "This, yes, it is a flower. To men like Mercer, kindness is never simple. A gift must be a message. A favor must be a debt. A poor waitress cannot be invited into my mother's life unless she is useful." Harper looked at the charm. "So they think I am carrying a war on my wrist." Adrian's voice was low. "Yes." She laughed once because if she did not fear, would take the sound and use it against her. "That is the dumbest, terrifying thing I have ever heard." Miles looked almost sympathetic. "They requested a meeting." Harper looked at Adrian. Requested Adrian said nothing. "That means threatened." "Yes." "And you are going?" "Yes." "Alone?" "Yes." Harper slipped the bracelet back into her pocket. "No." Both men looked at her. Adrian's eyebrow lifted. "No. You heard me. This is not your business. They followed me. They came to my building. They scared my mother. They nearly killed yours with stress and suspicion. It became my business when they wrote waitress on the back of my photograph like I was a thing they could use. Adrian's eyes darkened. You are not coming. Harper stepped closer. You cannot keep deciding where I belong. You belong somewhere safe. I belong wherever I choose to stand. His face tightened. You do not understand, Mercer. And you do not understand that I am tired of men making choices over my head and calling it protection. Miles looked at the floor as if he wanted to become part of it. Adrian's voice dropped. Harper, this is not a diner argument. No, it is my life. Mercer kills people. So does fear, just slower. That silenced him. Harper looked at him. Really looked past the suit and the name and the violence around him. You called me rare because I refused money. But you keep treating my choices like they are worth less than yours because you have more guns. His expression changed then. The words had found him. For several seconds only the rain spoke against the chapel windows. Finally, Adrian said, You stay in the car. Harper nodded. Fine. You do not get out. Fine. You do not argue. Her mouth curved. Now you are dreaming. Miles closed his eyes for half a second. The meeting took place 2 nights later at a riverfront restaurant that had closed to the public before sunset. The sign outside still glowed, but the dining room beyond the glass doors was dim and empty except for one table set beneath a low, golden light. Rain darkened the sidewalks. The Mississippi moved beyond the railings, black and restless. Harper sat in the car with Miles beside her. Adrian had told her to wear something dark. She had worn her only black dress, simple and old, with a coat Mia insisted she borrow. The magnolia bracelet circled her wrist because leaving it behind felt like giving Mercer power over it. Inside the restaurant, Adrian sat across from Graham Mercer. Mercer was older, with silver hair brushed back from a narrow face and a smile too thin to be kind. 2 men stood behind him. Adrian had refused to bring more than Miles into the visible meeting. Harper hated that. She hated understanding why. Power had rules. Stupid rules, maybe, but rules all the same. Through the windshield, she watched Adrian sit with perfect calm, one hand near his coffee cup. Shoulders relaxed, eyes cold. Miles watched every reflection in every window. Harper watched the staff. That was the world she understood. A real waiter moved with rhythm. Step pause, place clear. A good server never looked at the tray too long, never turned his back fully on a tense table, never held a coffee pot like it was heavy unless it was full. The man approaching Adrian's table was wrong. His shoes were too polished. His white jacket fit badly across the shoulders. His hand shook, but not with nerves. With waiting. Harper leaned forward. Miles, I see him. The waiter moved closer to Adrian's left side. His thumb slid under the handle of the silver coffee pot. Harper's stomach dropped. Miles, stay here. But Harper was already opening the car door. Rain hit her face as she ran. Inside the restaurant, the floor was slick beneath her shoes. The world slowed to strange pieces. Adrian turning his head. Mercer's smile fading. The waiter's hand lifting. The silver coffee pot tilting. The black shape beneath the tray. Adrian. Her scream ripped through the room. The waiter pulled the gun free. Harper grabbed the nearest chair and shoved it with everything she had. It crashed into his legs just as he fired. The shot went wide. A mirror behind Adrian exploded into silver rain. Then Adrian moved. Fast. Controlled. Terrifying. He caught Harper by the waist and pulled her behind him as Miles slammed into the waiter and drove him to the floor. Mercer's men reached into their jackets. Adrian's men appeared from places Harper had not seen, shadows becoming bodies, guns drawn, voices low and lethal. Down, Adrian snarled. I am down. You are standing, because you are holding me standing. His arm tightened around her for half a second, then released just enough to move. Another sound cut through the chaos, a kitchen door swinging. Harper turned. A second man appeared near the service hall with a gun half raised. No one else saw him. She did because kitchens had doors, corners, hiding places. She knew how people moved when they belonged behind a counter and how they moved when they were pretending. Left. Adrian turned at her voice. One shot cracked through the restaurant. The second gunman dropped his weapon and hit the floor. Silence came back broken. Glass ticked from the shattered mirror. Rain pressed against the windows. Someone groaned near the table. Mercer sat frozen, his face drained of all charm. Adrian turned on Harper. His face was fury. His eyes were fear. "I told you to stay in the car." She was shaking now, but anger kept her upright. "You are welcome. You could have died. So could you." He stepped closer, breathing hard. "Do you understand what that would do to me?" The words stripped the room bare. Harper looked at him and saw everything he had tried to hide. The chapel, his brother, his mother on the floor, the cage he had built because loss had taught him the wrong language. Her voice came softer. "Adrian." His hand lifted to her face, rough and warm against her rain-chilled skin. For one suspended moment, the restaurant disappeared. No Mercer, no guns, no glass, no men waiting for orders. Only Adrian looking at her like the world had nearly ended and somehow she was still standing in front of him. Then he pulled his hand back as if he had touched fire. Mercer found his voice. "This was not mine." Adrian turned slowly. The cold returned to him so completely, Harper felt the air change. No, Mercer swallowed. Someone wanted this meeting to fail. Adrian looked at the waiter pinned beneath Miles. The man's face was bleeding against the floor. Miles searched him and found a small card tucked inside his jacket. He handed it to Adrian. Adrian read it. His expression did not change. Harper could not see the card clearly, only a crest printed in black ink, and a name she did not recognize. Mercer stared. "That is not my mark." "No," Adrian said. "It is not." Harper looked between them. Adrian's voice went quiet. "Someone used your name to draw me here." Mercer's fear became real then. "Cross, listen to me. I am listening. My family did not move against your mother. You followed Harper." Mercer's jaw tightened. "We asked questions. You put a man outside her home." "I did not order harm." Adrian stepped closer to the table. "You put fear near her mother. That was harm." The room went still again. Mercer understood then what everyone else had already seen. Harper was not a rumor, not a weakness to test, not a waitress wearing a borrowed coat. She was the line. Adrian did not need to say it. His silence did. Mercer lowered his gaze first. "My family withdraws." Adrian watched him. And the bracelet, Mercer looked at Harper's wrist. His voice turned bitter. "It is just a bracelet." Harper met his eyes. It always was. Something like shame flickered across Mercer's face, gone almost instantly. Adrian gave one order, quiet and final. "Leave New Orleans before morning." Mercer stood slowly. His men followed. No one stopped them. When the doors closed behind him, Harper realized her knees were shaking so badly she had to grab the back of a chair. Adrian was there at once. "Harper." "I am fine." "You are not. I know. I just wanted to say it first." He almost smiled, but fear still held him too tightly. Miles approached. "The second shooter is alive. First one, too. We will have names soon." Adrian nodded without looking away from Harper. "Good." Harper looked at the shattered mirror, the blood on the floor, the overturned chair. Her hands began to tremble harder. "I have served coffee in restaurants for years," she said. I never thought one would shoot back." Adrian removed his coat and placed it over her shoulders. She wanted to refuse on principle. She was too cold. "Thank you," she whispered. His eyes softened. This time he did not say take it. He only nodded. Outside, the rain had slowed. Adrian drove her home himself, Miles following behind with the rest of the night's violence sealed into silence. Harper stared at the road. "Are they going to come back?" "No." "You sound sure." "I am." She looked at him. "That should scare me." "Yes, but it also helps." "I know." He pulled up outside her building, but neither of them moved. The laundromat sign buzzed. Water dripped from the fire escape. The city smelled like rain and old brick. Adrian rested his hands on the steering wheel. "I should send you away." Harper turned toward him. "What?" His voice was low. "Somewhere safe. Money in your account. Doctors for your mother. A clean apartment. A life without my name near it." Harper stared at him. "Do not make my choices sound like gifts." His jaw tightened. "You were almost killed tonight. So were you. Because of me. Because of men who think people are pieces on a board, and I am one of those men. The honesty hurt more than a denial would have." Harper looked out the window at the building where her mother slept. "Maybe." He closed his eyes briefly. She looked back at him. "But tonight when I ran in, you pulled me behind you. When I told you left, you trusted me. When I told you not to hurt that man in front of my building, you stopped. So maybe you are also a man trying not to be only what the world made you." Adrian's hands tightened on the wheel. "I do not know how to do this gently." "Then learn." He turned to her. Rain traced silver lines down the windshield. For a long moment, neither moved. Then Harper leaned across the space between them and kissed him. It was not soft at first. It was relief and anger and fear, and all the words neither of them knew how to place. Adrian went still as if he did not trust himself to touch her. Then his hand came up slowly, not to hold her in place, but to rest against the side of her face. A question, not a claim. Harper answered by staying. When she pulled back, his forehead rested near hers. "Harper," he said, and her name sounded like a confession he had not planned to make. "I am still angry with you. I know. You are still controlling. I know. I am not moving into your mansion. I know." She narrowed her eyes. "You said that too quickly." A faint smile touched his mouth. "I am learning when not to argue." "That is new. It is painful." "Good." This time he did smile. Harper got out before the moment could become something too large to carry upstairs. At her apartment door, June was waiting on the couch, eyes sharp despite the blanket around her shoulders. Harper froze. "You should be asleep, and you should not come home looking like a woman who kissed trouble in the rain." Harper's face warmed. "Mama." June looked toward the window where Adrian's car waited below. "He care for you?" Harper took off the borrowed coat and hung it carefully over a chair. "Yes, that was not my question." Harper sat beside her mother. June's breathing was rough but steady. After a moment, Harper said, "He is trying." June looked at her daughter. "Trying is expensive when a man has power." "I know. Make him pay in change, not promises." Harper smiled faintly. "What does that mean?" "It means small things. Doors he does not open without asking. Decisions he does not make for you. Help he offers without strings. A dangerous man can say beautiful words. Watch what he gives up." Harper looked down at the magnolia bracelet on her wrist. For the first time, it did not feel like a secret or a threat. It felt like a question she was still allowed to answer. Across town before midnight, men began talking in low voices. Graham Mercer withdrew his people from the streets near Magnolia Diner. 2 hired shooters gave up the name of a broker tied to no family and too many old debts. Adrian's men moved through the city with quiet precision, cutting off routes, freezing accounts, closing doors that dangerous men had assumed would stay open. Harper did not see any of that. She sat beside her mother until June fell asleep, then went to the kitchen and placed the bracelet on the counter beside the orange she had carried home from the rain. The fruit had begun to soften at one edge. She touched it lightly. Her phone buzzed. Adrian door locked. Harper looked toward the deadbolt. Then she typed, "Yes." A second later, his reply came. "May I know when you are safe tomorrow?" Harper stared at the word may. It was small. It mattered. She typed back, "You may." She set the phone down and leaned against the counter, listening to the oxygen machine, the rain, and the quiet city beyond her window. For the first time since the black SUVs came for her, Harper did not feel invisible. She felt seen. That was not the same as safe, but it was a beginning. Morning came quietly, but Harper did not trust quiet anymore. She woke in the armchair beside her mother with her neck stiff, one hand still curled around her phone. Pale light slipped through the blinds and laid thin stripes across the floor. Below the apartment, the laundromat machines had already started their heavy turning. The old building trembled with other people's work, other people's dirty clothes, other people's ordinary lives. For a few seconds, Harper let herself pretend she still belonged only to that world. Then she saw the black coat folded over the chair. Adrian's coat. It smelled faintly of rain smoke, cedar, and him. Her phone buzzed once in her palm. "Adrian. Did you sleep?" Harper stared at the screen. June stirred on the sofa. "If that is the dangerous man, tell him sleep is none of his business." Harper looked over. "You are supposed to be resting." "I am resting. I am also judging." Harper smiled despite the ache behind her eyes and typed, "A little." His reply came almost instantly. "Do you need anything?" Harper read the words twice. Not, "I am sending someone." Not, "I arranged something." Not, "Come downstairs." A question. She looked at her mother, at the oxygen machine, at the stack of bills on the table, at the small orange softening beside the bracelet on the counter. There were 100 things she needed. Rent money, medicine, time, a safer lock, a life that did not make her choose between exhaustion and survival. But none of those were things she could simply take from Adrian Cross without feeling the ground tilt beneath her. She typed slowly, "I need coffee and 1 normal hour." There was a longer pause this time. "Then I can give you the hour. Coffee is your department." Harper laughed under her breath. June lifted one eyebrow. Was that a smile? No. That was a smile. It was a muscle spasm. Liar. Harper stood and crossed to the kitchen. She made weak coffee because good coffee cost more, then warmed the last biscuit and split it with her mother. They ate at the small table in silence for a while. It was the kind of silence they had lived inside for years. Not empty, just tired. June touched the magnolia bracelet where it rested near the orange. "You are wearing it again." Harper looked down. "I do not know." That was not an answer. "I know." June picked up the bracelet. The little silver charm caught the morning light. "It is pretty. It nearly got me killed. So did crossing the street last week. You still do that." "Mama." June set the bracelet back down. "A thing is not guilty because men put meaning on it." Harper sat across from her, and Adrian June's face softened, but only a little. "A man is responsible for the meaning he puts on himself." Harper wrapped both hands around her coffee mug. "He wanted to send me away last night. To protect you." Yes. And did he? No. June nodded. Good. That is one door he did not close for you. Harper looked toward the window. A black sedan sat at the curb, not directly in front of the building, but close enough to be noticed. One of Adrian's men stood beneath the awning of the laundromat with a paper cup in his hand, pretending badly to be casual. Harper should have felt trapped. Instead, she felt annoyed, watched, and safer than she wanted to admit. That complicated everything. By noon, she was back at Magnolia Diner. The place looked bruised from change. New locks shone on the front door. Men from a repair company moved in and out carrying tools. Mia sat in the office with payroll folders spread around her like a woman preparing for battle. Leon was in the kitchen grinning at a new delivery of fresh produce as if someone had brought him gold. "Look at this," he called when Harper stepped through the back door. "Tomatoes that do not look personally offended." Harper laughed. "That feels illegal here." "Not anymore." Mia appeared in the doorway with dark circles under her eyes and a pen tucked behind her ear. "You are late." Harper froze. Then Mia smiled. "Kidding. I have power now. I am trying it on. You are terrifying. I know. It suits me." Harper hugged her before either of them could make a joke out of it. Mia held on tightly. "You okay?" "No." "Good. I hate fake okay." Harper pulled back. "How bad are the records?" Mia's face changed. "Bad. Ray stole from everyone, not just ours. Tips, too. Delivery fees. Break deductions. He charged Leon for uniforms the diner never bought." Harper closed her eyes. "That man deserves spoiled soup forever. He deserves worse, but I am trying to be legally impressive." On the counter, a folder sat with Harper's name on it. She opened it. Inside was a check for back wages and a printed report of corrected hours. The number was more than she expected. Not life-changing, not enough to fix everything, but enough to breathe. Her throat tightened. Mia saw. "I cried in the freezer already. You can use the pantry. I am not crying." "Sure." Harper pressed the folder closed. Then the front door opened. Adrian stepped in and the room adjusted around him. It always did. He wore a dark suit but no coat this time. His sleeves were rolled once at the wrist, showing ink at his forearms. Miles followed but stayed by the door. Adrian's eyes found Harper immediately, then moved over her face, checking for damage he could not ask about in front of everyone. Harper lifted her chin. "You are early. I did not know I had an appointment. You always look like you think the world is expecting you." A faint smile touched his mouth. "Is it not?" Mia muttered. "Lord help us." Adrian turned slightly. "Ms. Torres." "Mia." "Mia, the contractor needs approval on the kitchen repairs." "You are manager." Mia blinked. "I get to approve things." "Yes. What if I approve expensive things? Then they should be necessary. What if they are necessary and expensive? Then approve them." Mia stared at him, then looked at Harper. "I may like him for 5 minutes." "Do not overcommit," Harper said. Adrian's eyes returned to her. "May I speak with you outside May?" Mia noticed. Harper knew because Mia's eyebrows nearly climbed into her hairline. Harper wiped her hands on a towel. "Yes." They stepped out beneath the awning. The rain had stopped, but the street still smelled wet. Cars passed through shallow puddles. A delivery man unloaded bread next door. Somewhere down the block, a street musician played trumpet slow enough to sound like memory. Adrian stood beside her, not in front of her. Another small thing. "I found the broker," he said. Harper looked at him. "The one behind the shooters?" "Yes. What happened?" Adrian watched the street. He is alive. Harper waited. In federal custody by morning. That surprised her. You gave him to the police, to men who can keep him alive long enough to talk. Was that your first choice? No. She appreciated the honesty more than she wanted to. Why did you do it? He turned to her. Because last night you looked at the blood on the restaurant floor like you were trying not to disappear inside it. Harper looked away. Adrian's voice lowered. I know how to end problems one way. I am trying to learn others. The trumpet down the block bent into a sad note. Harper folded her arms. That must be painful. It is unbearable. She almost smiled. Good. His expression softened. For you, I will endure it. The words were too much and not enough. Beautiful, dangerous, easy to distrust. Harper looked at him carefully. I do not want to be the reason you pretend to become better. His jaw tightened. I know. I mean it, Adrian. So do I. A silence passed between them, full of engines, rainwater, and things neither of them knew how to hold. Then he said, My lawyers are preparing documents for the diner. Harper's eyes narrowed. What documents? To transfer ownership options. No, you have not heard the terms. I heard lawyers. He drew a breath. Harper. No surprise control, no hidden clause, no building bought over my head and handed to me like a leash wrapped in ribbon. His eyes stayed on hers. That is why I am telling you before anything is signed. She stopped. He took a folder from under his arm and held it out. She did not take it. What is that, a proposal? You read it. Mia reads it. Your own lawyer reads it. If you dislike it, it burns. Do I have a lawyer? You will choose one. Not yours, not mine. She studied him, searching for the trap. He added, And if you say no, the diner remains under professional management until you decide what you want. Harper stared at the folder. You are really trying. I told you I would. That does not mean I believed you. I know. She took the folder slowly. The paper felt heavy in her hand. Inside the diner, Mia watched through the window with no shame at all. Harper saw her and rolled her eyes. Adrian followed her glance. She is protective. She has reason. Yes. Harper looked back at him. Evelyn complaining. Threatening nurses. Asking for diner tea. That means she is better. It means she is impossible. Harper smiled. She is your mother. His eyes warmed. Yes. 2 weeks passed in pieces. Harper's life did not become easy. Easy would have felt false anyway. June had good mornings and bad nights. The apartment still smelled like detergent and old pipes. Harper still woke sometimes from dreams of gunfire and shattered glass. She still startled when cars idled too long. She still counted money, though now the numbers did not always win. But Magnolia Diner began to become something else. The first thing Harper changed was the smell. She asked Leon to bake bread in the mornings. He laughed at her until she brought in her old someday notebook, the one with smudged sketches and soup ideas written in the margins. He took the notebook like it was sacred. You drew this when I was 19. You wanted thyme in the chicken soup. I wanted people to feel better after eating it. Leon looked at her for a long second. Then we used thyme. Mia handled vendors with the expression of a woman daring them to lie. She found a bookkeeper, fired 2 suppliers, and discovered she enjoyed spreadsheets more than any person should. Back wages were paid. Breaks became real. The staff stopped whispering when the office door opened. Adrian came by often, but he did not step behind the counter unless Harper said he could. The first time he waited at the edge of the tile and asked, May I come back there? Leon dropped a spoon into a pot, and Mia said I should have charged admission. Harper looked at Adrian over her shoulder. For what? He held up a small toolbox. The shelf near the pantry is loose. You fix shelves. I own hotels. I have seen shelves. That is not the same thing. I can learn." She let him in. He fixed the shelf badly the first time. Leon fixed it properly after he left. Harper never told him. Evelyn returned to the diner on a clear afternoon wearing a cream coat and an expression of triumph. Adrian stood behind her like a thundercloud in human form. "I was cleared by the doctor," she announced. Adrian said, "For short outings." Evelyn ignored him. Harper poured tea. "You scared us." Evelyn's eyes softened. "I scared myself." That quieted the table. Harper sat across from her during a lull. "Do not do that again." Evelyn gave her a gentle look. "Sounding like my son now?" "No, I am asking, not ordering." Evelyn reached across the table and squeezed her hand. "Then I will try." Adrian watched them from the counter. Something in his face eased like a knot, loosening one strand at a time. The legal paperwork took longer. Harper insisted on a lawyer from a small office recommended by Mrs. Alvarez, who had a nephew in family law but claimed he knew enough about contracts to smell a snake. He read every page. Mia read every page. Harper read every page with a dictionary open beside her. Adrian sat through the final review in a conference room downtown silent while Harper's lawyer questioned him for nearly 2 hours. At the end, Harper leaned back. "So I own 45%. "Yes," Adrian said. "Mia owns 20. "Yes." "The staff share 10. "Yes." "You do not hold controlling interest." "No." "You are a silent investor." "Yes." "You cannot sell the building without offering us first right to buy." "Yes." "You cannot enter operational areas without permission." His mouth twitched. "Yes." Mia leaned toward Harper. "I want that line framed." Harper looked at Adrian. "And if I decide I want out, then you get out with your share paid at fair value." Harper held his gaze. "No punishment. No punishment? No disappearing clauses? No. No cross-family nonsense." Her lawyer coughed. Adrian's eyes flickered with amusement. "No cross-family nonsense." Harper signed first. Her hand shook, but she signed. Mia signed next and whispered something in Spanish that sounded like a prayer and a threat at the same time. Adrian signed last. When it was done, he slid the pen back across the table, not toward Harper, but to the center where anyone could take it. A small thing. She noticed. Renovation lasted 10 days. The old sign came down at sunrise. Harper stood on the sidewalk watching 2 workers lower the cracked Magnolia Diner letters. For years, the sign had buzzed above her like a tired warning. Seeing it removed made her chest ache in a way she did not expect. Mia stood beside her with coffee. "You sad a little." It was a terrible sign. "I know." It flickered like a horror movie. "I know. It once shocked Leon." "I know Mia." Mia bumped her shoulder. "You can miss ugly things." Harper looked at the empty space above the door. "I do." The new sign went up before noon. Rain and Magnolia Cafe. The letters were deep green, simple and warm, with a small painted magnolia blossom beside the name. Harper had argued against anything too fancy. Evelyn had argued for gold leaf. Mia had threatened to lock both of them out and pick a sign herself. Deep green won. Opening day arrived under a bright sky. Fresh bread lined the counter. Soup simmered in the kitchen. The booths had been repaired, the walls painted cream, and small jars of flowers sat on each table. Near the register, Harper placed a framed photograph. It showed one orange on the old counter beside the silver magnolia bracelet. Under it, in Harper's handwriting, were the words, The day the rain brought her in. Evelyn saw it and pressed her lips together. "You are making me emotional in public. You will survive." "I may not." June arrived in a navy dress Harper had not seen in years, with Mia helping her through the door and an oxygen tank rolling beside her. Harper stopped moving when she saw her. "Mama!" June looked around the cafe. Her eyes filled slowly. "You drew this?" Harper swallowed. "Not exactly." June touched one of the tables, then the counter, then Harper's cheek. "Yes, you did." The day was crowded from the first hour. Old customers came back. New ones came because they had heard rumors. Nurses ordered soup to go. Dock workers filled booths. Mrs. Alvarez sat by the window and announced the coffee had finally stopped tasting like punishment. Mia ran the floor like she had been born holding a clipboard. Leon shouted from the kitchen, happy and overwhelmed. Harper moved through it all, tired, laughing, alive in her own body in a way she had almost forgotten was possible. Adrian did not come until after closing. The last customer left. Mia took June home. Leon locked the kitchen. Evelyn sat by the window, pretending not to wait for her son and failing beautifully. Then the bell above the door rang. Adrian Cross stepped into Rain and Magnolia Cafe. For once, no one went silent in fear. There was no crowd left to impress, no room full of whispers, no guns visible at the door. Just Adrian in a black suit looking completely out of place among flowers, warm walls and cinnamon rolls cooling beneath glass. Harper stood behind the counter. "You are late. I was giving you your day. That sounds dangerously considerate. I am recovering from it." She poured coffee into a white mug. "Black. No sugar. Bitter enough to keep your reputation alive." He took it. "I tolerate yours. That is almost sweet. Do not tell anyone." Evelyn rose from her booth. "I heard it." Adrian looked toward her. "I said almost nothing." "You said enough." Evelyn kissed his cheek and then Harper's. "I am going home before you two begin circling each other like dramatic wolves." Harper laughed. Adrian looked offended. "I do not circle." Evelyn patted his face. "My darling, you stalk emotionally." After she left with Miles, the cafe became quiet. Harper wiped the counter, though it was already clean. Adrian watched her. "You are happy here?" She looked around. "Yes." The answer came easily. That alone nearly undid her. He stepped closer, stopping on the customer side of the counter. "You built something beautiful. We built it." "No," he said. "I helped pay for repairs." "You built it." Harper leaned on the counter. "You really are learning. Slowly, painfully, constantly." She smiled. Adrian reached into his coat. Harper pointed at him at once. "If that is jewelry, I am throwing it in the soup. The kitchen is closed. I will reopen it for violence." His mouth curved. He placed a small velvet box on the counter. Harper stared. "Adrian, open it." That sounded like an order. He paused, then corrected himself. "Please." She opened the box. Inside was not a ring, not diamonds, not anything that glittered with ownership. It was a small brass key. Plain, simple, newly cut. Harper looked up. "What is this, a key to the cafe?" Her heart gave a strange, uneven beat. He continued, "Not because I own it. Not because I can come and go. Because if you choose to give it to me, I will still ask before I use it." Harper looked down at the key. A key that did not claim access. A key that admitted the door was hers. The most dangerous man in New Orleans stood on the other side of her counter and waited for permission. Her eyes burned. That might be the most romantic, controlling thing anyone has ever done. I was aiming for only romantic. You missed slightly. I will improve." She laughed, and the tears came with it. Adrian did not move toward her. He waited. Harper came around the counter herself. That mattered too. She stood in front of him, close enough to see the faint scar near his jaw, the tiredness around his eyes, the restraint in his hands. "I am still scared sometimes," she said. "So am I. You are not allowed to turn that into a cage. I know. You will forget. Probably. I will remind you. I am counting on it." She took the key from the box and placed it in his palm, closing his fingers around it. "You may have a copy." His breath shifted. "Thank you. But if you use it without asking, I change the locks. I believe you. You should." He looked at her like belief itself had become a new language. "May I kiss you?" The question went through Harper softer than any touch. She nodded. "Yes." He kissed her carefully at first, like a man approaching a flame he had no right to hold. Harper rose into him, hands against his chest, feeling the strong beat of his heart beneath the expensive fabric. His arms came around her slowly. Not trapping. Not taking. Holding, only after she leaned closer. Outside, rain began to fall again over New Orleans. Soft this time. No storm. No sirens. No black SUVs waiting with engines growling. Only rain against the windows of a cafe that smelled like bread, coffee, magnolia blossoms, and a future Harper had once drawn in a notebook when she still believed someday might answer. When they pulled apart, Adrian rested his forehead lightly against hers. "You changed my life," he said. Harper looked toward the framed photograph near the register, the orange and the bracelet caught forever beneath glass. "No," she whispered. "I just stopped in the rain." Later, when the lights were dim and the chairs had been placed on tables, Harper walked Adrian to the door. He reached for the handle, then stopped. His hand lowered. Harper noticed. A smile touched her mouth. He looked at her through the warm quiet of the cafe. "May I come back tomorrow?" Harper unlocked the door and opened it for him. "Yes." He stepped outside first, then turned beneath the awning. Harper stood in the doorway of Rain and Magnolia Cafe. The keys in her hand, the rain silver behind him, the city breathing around them. For the first time in years, no one was pulling her forward, pushing her back, or deciding where she belonged. Adrian waited on the sidewalk until she locked the door herself. Only then did he walk her home.